Esta reunión va a ser grabada para uso interno y de promoción sobre la actividad que estamos haciendo en la ciudad de Lynn.
Welcome everyone. As you can see on this slide, live Spanish interpretation is being provided. To participate, you'll want to click the interpretation button in the meeting controls at the bottom right side and select Spanish. If you need English, don't do a thing. We'll be right here.
Bienvenidos, empezaremos en unos minutos. Ofrecemos interpretación en vivo en español. Haga clic en la interpretation que está hacia la derecha en la parte inferior de su computadora o su teléfono. Seleccione el canal español. Por favor, introduzca su nombre y afiliación en el chat. Consejos del Zoom, escriba preguntas en el chat o en la parte inferior desde la derecha de la ventana. Por favor, permanezca en mute, silencio, o sea, en mute, para que así pueda escuchar la información que vamos a estar presentando.
Great. So as Francis was just saying, we're going to ask folks to stay on mute. There will be discussion at the end of the meeting, but you are always welcome to enter questions into the chat. That'll be at the bottom or right side of the window. Many of you have been using it already. So you'll see the interpretation button pop up. Feel free to click that and select Spanish if you would like more Spanish translation. You'll see Francis is in that Spanish translation now. All right, next slide. So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this meeting about data and resources for business recovery. This is part of the Downtown Lynn Cultural District Rapid Recovery Planning process. We're so happy to have you here. The purpose of this plan is really to help us focus on two questions. First, what do our business owners need? And second, how can the city help recover from COVID-19? Today, we'll start a little bit of introductions, a bit more background about the project. And then our partners at MAPC are going to share the results of their research and the assessment of really what's going on in our downtown district, the key issues and opportunities. After that, we'll have an opportunity for question and answer. And then finally, we'll have some business providers, business service providers share information about the resources that they offer. If there are any business owners in the room, it's helpful to know what resources are available to you. And then we'll have more time for questions. So I will start. My name is Lauren Drago. I'm the Associate Planner for the City of Lynn. I'm also happy to introduce the Metropolitan Area Planning Council, MAPC. There are plan facilitators for this. There are consultants working on this project. And today we have Ella Wise, Sukanya Sharma, and Will Dorfman. We also are grateful for our community partners who applied for this grant to get this assistance with the City of Lynn. We're represented by Bill Bachnack at Lynn Economic Development Industrial Corporation, Colin Codner at the Greater Lynn Chamber of Commerce, and Carolyn Cole and Samantha McHugh-Wheeler at Lynn Main Streets. And then, of course, Spanish interpretation is provided by Francis Martinez, the North Shore Latino Business Association. Just going to wait to let Francis catch up with us. Great. So this project is part of the Massachusetts Department of Housing and Community Development's program for local rapid recovery planning. It's focused on helping communities all around the Commonwealth plan for business recovery and resilience coming out of COVID-19. It's a short 6-month process from March to August. And although it's focused on the Downtown Lynn Cultural District, we're hoping what we get out of this plan will be broadly applicable to the city as well. So the project goals here, first, we want a data-driven plan to aid in COVID-19 recovery. Second, we want to promote an equitable recovery, prioritizing the voices and needs of low-income and POC residents and business owners. And thirdly, we know this is not the first plan in the area. We want to build on existing plans to advance implementation of previously identified strategies with the consideration of administrative capacity and limitations. So we're really trying to get something really actionable here and targeted to help us move forward. I'm going to pause there because we're going to check if anyone is taking us up on the Spanish interpretation. So Frances is going to check in the chat to see if anyone's there. And if so, she'll keep translating. If not, she's going to come join us. Nothing. Okay. Then I think we can close out the interpretation. We'll bring Frances back into the room. Wonderful. Can you hear us all, Frances? Everything good?
Everything good.
Perfect. Thanks for bearing with us, everyone, as we work through the live interpretation. So now I'd like to turn it over to Ella from MEPC. She's going to talk about the MEPC research into the Downtown Lynn Cultural District and some of the key issues and opportunities they identified. Ella?
Great, thanks, Lauren. I did want to just actually revisit the interpretation because a few people joined since the beginning of the meeting. So maybe, Frances, you can welcome anyone who would like Spanish interpretation to unmute them, to add a hello in the chat. And again, if no one does it, then we'll stay without the interpretation. Thanks. And you're on mute. Sorry, Frances.
Buenas tardes de nuevo, soy Francis. En esta presentación tenemos la opción de que pueda ser traducida la información que se está presentando. Si a usted le interesa escuchar solamente esta versión en español, en la parte derecha de su computadora, de su pantalla, usted tiene una opción que dice Interpretation y ahí usted le puede dar la palabra que diga español o Spanish y así entonces yo puedo facilitar la información en español. Can you move me to the chat to see if anyone?
I'm not seeing anything come through. So I think we're all set for now. Go ahead, Ella.
Great. Thanks very much, Lauren and Frances. Okay, so my name is Ella, and I'm the Senior Land Use Planner at MEPC. Welcome, everyone. The purpose of the assessment of key issues and opportunities is to learn more about what strategies could best support local businesses in Downtown Lynn. In our assessment of key issues and opportunities, we looked at how we can better serve current and future residents, as well as visitors. We looked at a variety of characteristics and data, including the current businesses and residents, as well as new investments in downtown. With the help of Lynn Main Streets, we conducted a survey of downtown businesses about what they most need. Finally, we assessed the physical conditions. And this assessment, along really with the community's input, all of your input, will help us develop the highest priority strategies to help serve downtown businesses. So you can see on this slide, currently there are about 300 businesses in downtown Lynn, mostly retail, professional, and real estate. And there's a rate of about 5 to 10% vacancy of storefronts. Next slide. We also looked at the people who live here. So the population is about 1,800 residents, and about the same number of people come to work downtown every day as well. The annual median income of the population is around $16,000 a year, so extremely low. Residents are generally older. 30% do not speak English at all or not well, and about 20% have a disability. So in other words, the current population has very specific needs, including social services that they can conveniently access by walking or taking transit, as well as housing assistance. So the needs of current residents is important for us to consider and keep in mind when planning for economic development downtown. Next slide. We also considered the population outside of the downtown. Why? How does this relate to business? Because different people have different lifestyles and interests, and better understanding what we call these different market segments can help inform businesses about their potential consumer base, including the best marketing strategies and how to capture new clients. So these market segments, which are shown here on the slides, can sometimes have uncomfortable names or titles. These aren't categories that we've made up. These are nationally used. So MAPC, the city, and our community partners didn't come up with them, but they can be helpful again in better understanding the demographics of the population in terms of business market. So currently, most of the population downtown, as you can see on the left-hand side of the slide, is what's called the Social Security set. So this refers to folks over the age of 65 with lower incomes. In addition, about 10% of the current population is categorized as the international marketplace segment, which are folks who live in cities or suburbs, are often foreign-born, and are often young renters. Within just a mile of the downtown, the demographics change some more with different market segments. And then finally, when expanding to the whole city, there are more households that fall within the city lights segment. This market segment includes a variety of demographics, including both renters and homeowners, singles and married couple families. They often live in racially diverse neighborhoods, earn above average incomes, and take transit to their workplace. So no one person or community fits into a box, but understanding these market segments can help businesses serve and build their consumer base. And in particular, it can help businesses understand how to pivot and gain new consumers as the population of Lynn changes. Next slide. And this is important to note because the population of downtown Lynn is expected to go through a lot of change in the coming years. So this is a map of all the new housing developments that are in some sort of process of being permitted or built. There are 1,200 new housing units in the pipeline in the downtown area. Only 45 of those are affordable housing. Therefore, basically all of this new housing will bring higher income residents, excuse me, and may cause dramatic changes in the real estate market. So preparing for this change and ensuring existing businesses benefit from new investment and existing residents benefit from new investment is a key focus of this planning process, as well as welcoming new residents and new businesses. Next slide. In addition, the city is already making helpful investments to make the area more walkable, to improve transit, and make other improvements to the quality of life downtown. And here's a map of some of those investments. Next slide. Great. So to better understand the impacts of COVID on downtown businesses and what they need most for a strong recovery, Lynn Main Streets helped us conduct a business survey, and perhaps some of you all responded to that survey. 26 businesses responded in all, so a fraction of all those downtown, but so thankful for those who did respond. 40% of the responses were from nonprofits or community groups. So that's helpful to know as we consider the findings. So based on the survey, downtown businesses were hit hard by COVID-19. For example, 50% of the businesses reported temporary or permanent closures. And as of just last month, more than 50% were still operating at reduced hours or capacity. We also found out that businesses would like assistance. So I'm just going to read through these bullets because I think they're valuable information. So 60% of the survey respondents are interested in shared marketing and advertising. 25% in assistance in setting up an online store. 25% in low-cost financing for storefront facade improvement. And notably 15% in low-cost financing for purchasing property downtown, which could be a helpful strategy to ensure existing businesses benefit from new investment. We also found that city regulations don't pose an obstacle to business operation, according to these survey respondents, although there was concern about parking regulations. There were many other findings from the survey, and so if you're interested, please do review those, and we'll add a link to the chat for those full survey findings. Thanks. So finally, we assessed the physical condition of downtown. There are many key issues and many things to note about the physical environment, and we want to hear from you about what the most important issues and opportunities are. These are some that we noted. So in terms of access or transportation, some of the key issues we identified were: one, the need for safer walking and biking, especially for the residents who we see have a high rate of disabilities. And two, the commuter rail station is such a strong asset, providing access to good jobs and to other areas of the metro region. But the huge amount of parking spaces is underutilized, and the entrance could be better integrated into the downtown. Next. In terms of the public realm, so these are like streets and the public spaces downtown. Of course, there are many, many gorgeous murals in Lynn, which is really notable and obvious and lovely. There's also opportunity, though, to better activate some more unwelcoming public spaces, including in Central Square, which you can see a picture of here. In terms of the private realm, so these are characteristics of the private property. Downtown has a bustling small business environment with many attractive storefronts, some of which you can see here, and some businesses have installed outdoor seating. However, there are some inaccessible green spaces and remaining vacant buildings. In terms of visibility, so this is signage and lighting. Many stores downtown take pride in their appearance with signs and awnings. In addition, there have been some creative strategies to address ongoing lighting needs, but more lighting improvements are needed. And finally, in terms of branding, next slide, please. Thanks. There have been some helpful efforts. And there is also definitely opportunity for more marketing and branding of the Lynn, Downtown Lynn Cultural District. So with that, in summary, again, these are some of the key issues we've identified in supporting a strong recovery. So one, there's a lot of new development coming to downtown, and we need to ensure existing businesses, especially minority-owned businesses, can benefit from that new investment. Two, businesses were hard hit by COVID, and they are seeking assistance. And 3, there's opportunity to improve public spaces, including streets, the train station, and vacant spaces to attract more foot traffic. And many of these are the goals of the city that they're already working on and advancing improvements on. So now we want to take a moment to pause and open it up to questions. So please add questions to the chat. Any questions about anything you've heard thus far, including the project or the assessment? Did you learn anything that surprised you? What important issues are we missing? I'm sure we are missing some, and we want to hear it from you. And what do you think is most needed for a strong recovery? And we'll read the questions off of the chat, and then we'll move on to the next section of the meeting.
Thanks, Ella. We're still waiting on a couple of questions, but just to reiterate what Ella mentioned, we'd love to know what about the data has surprised you the most. Is there anything that could be added on to the data collection? You know, as we go through the planning process, we'd love to hear more feedback about you know, what we have and if there's anything that could be added on to that. So looking forward to hearing what people have to say.
Great, and while we're waiting for folks to think of some questions and issues that we missed, a few more people have joined. So I wonder, Francis, if you can stay in here, you don't have to go into the interpretation channel, but maybe welcome folks in Spanish. And if they would prefer Spanish, they can write like hola or I prefer Spanish in the chat. And if we see that, then we'll reinitiate the interpretation.
Sí, muy buenas tardes. Yo soy Francis Martínez en la Asociación de Comerciantes. Estoy disponible para traducir. Si usted desea esta presentación o tiene alguna pregunta en español, en la parte derecha de su pantalla usted puede poner la opción de ser traducción, o sea, que se traduzca y así podemos contestarle. Si no, entonces también puede hacerle una pregunta escribiéndolo en el chat y así yo puedo interpretar la pregunta que usted tiene. Gracias.
Thank you.
I see we have a hand raised from Danica Thurston. If we'd like to unmute her so she can ask the question.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, I just thought raising the hand feature might be easiest. Danica, Director of Lynn Museum Lynn Arts. A question I have is, what is being considered with the new developments that are happening? Obviously, property taxes are going to go up, property values going to go up, which could affect our minority-owned businesses that have already been hard hit by COVID. So what is being done to protect those businesses to keep them in the storefronts so that we don't have any more vacancies?
That's a great question. I'm happy to tackle that, although I don't know if I have all the answers. So I think part of it is the difficulty with the real estate market. We have of relatively affordable rents for commercial businesses in Lynn compared to some of the other cities in Massachusetts. And so we definitely want to preserve that if we can, because it does contribute to a fantastic mix of retail businesses that we have downtown that other communities would dream of having. And so we need to be really thoughtful as we bring more development into downtown about making sure we manage the process and are thoughtful about how that development happens to make sure that it doesn't lead to runaway real estate increases for those businesses. But in addition to that, I think it's also technical assistance can be really important. We'll talk about this a little bit later, but I know EDIC put down an amazing amount of grant money on the streets during COVID that really minimized the business closures, at least from what I see. And I think those kinds of community-based support efforts are really important because sometimes things happen and businesses don't always have that, that money stashed away to help when things go wrong. And then it's also assistance about planning for the future. We're trying to kind of think that in mind here is we know that there's going to be some changes coming in. How can we help prepare our businesses to make sure that they're well equipped so that they can work with their existing customers, but maybe bring that base to a larger audience as new people move in, or as if we're able to attract visitors. The idea is that if we put the right resources available, hopefully those businesses will be well equipped to capture some of that value that offers. But that said, it's going to require a lot of thoughtfulness moving forward. It's really easy to get wrong and difficult to get right.
Thank you.
I would just add, if you have further ideas about this, we'd love to talk to you. This is the start of the conversation, so we can follow up.
Happy to talk.
Great.
Thank you.
I also see a comment in the chat about the housing numbers. I'm happy to send a link in a moment to that map if anyone else would like to dig into the data. As far as I know, none of the new housing numbers in the pipeline are currently set aside for artist units. That is something we're exploring with other property owners in the area, but nothing in the pipeline as of yet.
And we also had another comment and question about talking about the need for businesses that are analyzing businesses by race or ethnicity. So there was a question asking about minority-owned businesses having different needs and ideas of a different strategy. I don't know who would like to take this on, but I think it'd be a really good, interesting question to have answered.
Ella, do you want to speak to some of the data limitations we've had thus far?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. We were just talking about this internally. It would be great to have a list of businesses disaggregated by race and ethnicity. And in some municipalities or some jurisdictions that's available, we don't have that. And if you can help us assemble that, that would be great. So our strategy is to, instead of having that clean data, just talk to people. And that's why we're so happy to have community partners and the North Shore Latino Business Center helping us. So the question of, do minority-owned businesses have different needs and ideas of different strategies, is a question that we hope to ask those minority-owned businesses through interviews. So the business surveys, were one step. It was a very quick timeline due to various reasons. And we know that that's not sufficient. So we are building into this process interviews with minority-owned businesses. So again, if you're interested in participating in that, please let us know by entering your name in the chat. We have your email due to registration in this meeting, or follow up with us later, because we need your help in answering that question.
And I can add to that just a little, that we are also trying to make use of the secondary data sources that are out there, like Google tagging, where they mentioned where there's like a flag when a business self-identifies as minority owned. So we are trying to sort of capture that data for our study area, but it's self-reported and has a lot of limitations. And so on the ground, talking to businesses will be the best strategy going forward. However, our efforts are definitely going into procuring some sort of secondary data around this too.
Thanks, Sukanya. It looks like we've answered the questions thus far. So maybe Lauren, you can kick off the next section.
Sure. So next we're going to talk about some of the existing resources that are available for businesses. Hopefully there are a few business owners in our audience today. We wanted to just make sure that you were aware of what is available to you. To start off, I did want to mention that we do have a storefront improvement program through the city's community development department, and they are able to provide grants to different businesses in the whole city to help with facade improvements. So if I know it's a difficult time to fund construction projects, but if this is something that you're interested in tackling, I'm going to leave the email address for the person that you would want to contact for that. Next, I'd like to introduce Carolyn Cole, and she's joined today by Samantha McHugh from Lynn Main Streets. And they've been one of our partners for this project, and they're going to talk a little bit about Lynn Main Streets and what they offer to businesses in this area.
Hi everyone, we're Samantha McHugh and Carolyn Cole, as she mentioned, representing Lynn Main Streets. We're a fairly new organization, but as you can see from our slide, we've accomplished a lot in our first year. Everything from the establishment of the Lynn Community Care Fund with United Way to food security program assistance, small business support with outdoor dining implementation, community programming and beautification efforts, attracting visibility and visitors to the downtown. And all of these efforts were in partnership with other local organizations and in response to an immediate need for community recovery resources. You can learn more about Lynn Main Streets by visiting our website. We're including a link to that in the chat. We're also adding our contact information. Please don't hesitate to reach out and engage with us. We are here for you any way we know how. So thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Carolyn. Next, I'd like to turn us over to Colin Codner from the Greater Lynn Chamber of Commerce. Colin?
Hi there, Colin Codner, Greater Lynn Chamber. I was asked to give the 30-second summary of what we do for the business community. And we really support businesses on three major fronts. The marketing and networking solutions, just being able to get your name out, get your brand out, help find sales, help find markets, and promote and grow your sales. The next one is kind of business advancement and development. This is really helping make businesses better at being businesses. Business training programs, employee training programs, making your staff better, making your ownership and management teams better at being business owners. And then the last one is more of the large scale business advocacy, working with state, local, elected and municipal staff members to advocate and support for the business needs. Really looking at them and the push for the outdoor dining during the COVID last summer. Regional transit improvement planning. These are some of the larger scale advocacy positions that we take. So those are the three main things. Again, networking and marketing solutions, business advancement and development, and business advocacy. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Colin. Next, I'm going to pass it to Bill Bachneck from EDIC. We can go back a slide, Sukanya. Thanks for bearing with me. Bill, take it away. Oh, sorry, go back a couple slides, Sukanya, for the text. There you go. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Hi, I'm Bill Bachneck from the City of Lynn's EDIC office. I'm a project coordinator. And I'll read off what we have prepared. EDIC Lynn has a rich history of more than 40 years of providing financing to businesses within the City of Lynn. Through innovative programs, EDIC Lynn is able to put financing tools into the marketplace that allows for capital to become available at very attractive rates. And since 1977, EDIC Lynn has strengthened the Lynn economy by encouraging existing companies to expand or new companies to relocate into the city. Simply stated, EDIC Lynn has all the financial tools and capabilities from the public sector's vantage point that private developers and small business owners need at their disposal. We can be reached directly here by visiting us now here at City Hall, room 405. Our phone number is listed here for you guys to contact us. We encourage you to visit our website to learn more about us, and you can always connect with us directly. You can reach me at the email that's located on the screen. And thanks so much.
Thanks, Bill. All right, next we have E4All. If you want to scroll ahead a couple slides, you'll hit their logo in a minute. I know Kevin was hoping to join us today, but I haven't seen his name pop up. If there's anyone here from E4All, feel free to cut me off and just unmute yourself. But assuming that didn't work out, E4All does fabulous training for people who are interested in starting their own business. The city has been working with E4All as well as the North Shore Latino Business Association through EDIC on an urban equity grant. And so we're big supporters of the work that they do. Their website, I believe, is e4all.org. If you're someone thinking about starting a business, I highly encourage you to check out their website. And then next, I'm going to pass it to our wonderful interpreter for this event, Frances Martinez, to talk about the North Shore Latino Business Association.
I'm the interpreter, but I wasn't able to fulfill my job description. Anyways, hi, I'm Frances Martinez. I am the president and founder of the North Shore Latino Business Association. As well, we have a sister organization, which is the North Shore Latino Business Center. For the past 10 years, we've been providing services to the North Shore, small businesses, I would probably have to say that during the pandemic, we really were able to provide all the resources and services to all the Latino businesses and all the minority business in the area. It wasn't necessary for them to be members of the association to provide technical assistance as we did to make sure everybody received some sort of funding to support them during the pandemic. We are located right in the heart of the downtown, 33 Staunton Street. We are here to support everyone, and we are here to continue making our businesses strong, and of course, our cities as well. That's all I can offer at this moment. I know there's a lot of members of the association and board members as well who are here as well to support everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Frances. So as you can see, there's a lot of folks really hoping to support our business community, coming at a lot of different angles. If there's any additional resources that we missed, feel free to add them to the chat. We will email them out after this meeting since you all registered. So you'll get those in your inbox as well. Here, I'll just pause to see if there's any other questions or comments about this project or about any of the resources we discussed today. Thank you, Colin, for adding the E4L text into the chat. I appreciate it. We're all a very collaborative bunch.
I did have a question, excuse me, in regards to some of the resources. I had a client of mine that asked me this question. I didn't really know how to respond, which was regarding, I know they had the beautification grant, but they actually are required now because of the change of use, and it was a building that existed as a manufacturing space. They are putting a juice bar and a gym. The building was required to now get sprinkler systems in there. So quotes have been up as high as $50,000. We just got one for $38,000. So they actually asked me a good question, which was, does the city have any grants or any programs that would help us bring this building up to code to be able to operate our business? Because they were not aware of this extended cost. So now that we're talking about resources, I wanted to know if there was any resources in the city that would help us with that transition for the change of use.
That's a great question. I know construction costs are particularly brutal at the moment, so I can only imagine how high those estimates are going. I don't believe that we have a grant program set up for those kinds of building improvements. However, I wonder if it would make sense for us to connect with your client. Maybe there's an opportunity, depending on how the funding is set up, for EDIC to help finance that kind of improvement. Bill, is that something that you've been able to help with traditionally, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think that's exactly the type of potential opportunity for a small business to approach us, and for us to be able to connect and talk about whether or not within the loan portfolio that we have, that would be a good fit. So we would welcome, having you reach out, connect, and begin that dialogue and that process.
Okay, thank you. I'll definitely reach out. Should I reach out directly to you, Bill?
Yep, that'd be fine.
Thank you. Could you put your email down on the bottom somewhere?
Sure, I'll put it in the chat right now.
Appreciate it.
Great. And Carolyn's also asking in the chat if there's any barriers to utilizing existing resources that people have seen. I know one that I have heard working with small businesses is time can be really tough for entrepreneurs. I know you're working so hard to keep the business open every day and afloat, and sometimes it's hard to find the time to even figure out what resources are available or to participate. So we're keeping that in mind definitely with our research efforts as well. Thank you, Bill, for putting your information in.
Hi, this is Ella again. I think it's fine if we end a little early, given that there are fewer questions, but since we have everyone here, I'm also really interested in knowing not only if we're missing any key issues or opportunities, but what would most help you or the businesses that you know for in a strong recovery from COVID. We'll hopefully follow up with many of you individually, but while we're all here, tell us what you need and what would be most helpful so that we can incorporate it into the plan. And go ahead and unmute yourself.
So we got one comment from Ana Masakose saying, I think rising home costs are making home businesses difficult. So going back on the high construction costs as well, going off of rising costs just in general, I think that's one point. I think that's well brought up.
Yeah, that's a really good point. We think a lot about housing affordability. We think a lot about business feasibility. We don't always think about how those things intersect, that there's a lot of successful home-based businesses. And as those costs increase, that can be more difficult for people to get the space that they need to manage their business from home.
I was just going to add that there is a new Incubate co-working business in Downtown Lynn that is open for entrepreneurs and small businesses to have memberships. I think starting from 1 day a week, affordable 1 day a week up to full time. So just something to look into.
I just want to mention that Kevin just got back. He was away last week and he had trouble returning back on Monday. I spoke to him earlier and I know he was trying to catch up with all the pending. So I want to excuse Kevin Moforte from E4All. I'm pretty sure that he probably got too busy. But E4All is a great program as well in the community. And, you know, we should all look into what they do because they do a great job.
Great. We're happy to take any more comments or questions as people have them. But in terms of, yes, the Housing Lynn plan, thank you for sharing that information. So yes, this is definitely, the housing affordability has definitely been something on the top of our radar lately, as folks are mentioning with these other processes around the housing production plan in the chat. So the next steps for us are that we're going to be MAPC and the city and our community partners are going to be doing a lot of interviews and focus groups and basically just finding opportunities to chat with people. If you might be willing to sit down with us and hash out some ideas, I'd hope that you'll reach out to me. I'll put my email address in the chat one more time. But otherwise, we'll email you updates about this process as things continue. Ella, anything to add?
Just that I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for giving us 50 minutes of your time on this hot afternoon. We really appreciate it and hope to talk more with you and learn from you about what's most needed. Thank you. And thank you, Francis, for the interpretation.
Yes.
It was my pleasure. And I just want to let everyone know that as well, as a team, we will be providing any information that is needed to be addressed to the small businesses in downtown. So we're here to support.
Thank you so much. We so appreciate it. Awesome. Well, have a great afternoon, everyone. We'll be in touch soon.